Oh, Seawolves! I sure hope that you had a great day today, because the Wolves today not really having a great day. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but let's just say that I had a lot happen today, which I'm not super happy with, but all will be well. And fortunately, we have the beauty, the freedom, the awesomeness that is sailing. And I hope that you have something delicious, because we together are about to have quite a nice sailing moment again this morning, I think, with a lovely toast. Are you ready for it? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Que l'on voit, c'est l'arrivée du front que l'on va chercher, et c'est ce front qui va nous amener à Bonne-Espérance. Alors là, c'est encore l'été, il fait beau, ciel bleu, vent qui est quand même à 20 nœuds, jusqu'à pointe à 22, donc on est quand même sur les écoutes. Et à partir de cette nuit, on va avoir un bon 30 nœuds.
Oh, that is some nice flying, right? I mean, I can imagine myself there, you can imagine yourself there. That would just be pretty great, right? So yeah, some beautiful images on board Gitana 17, the Edmund the Rotchild Maxi. They're on their way in the Jules Verne, trying to break the record of rounding the world in less than 40 days. And will they make it? Will they make it? Well, we will see. And yeah, before we get into the other two races, let's dive straight into the Jules Verne. And I'll bring you into the image here. Let's see, because the lead that Gitana has built up yesterday has actually extended to now 789 nautical miles. So I have to say, you all know what I kind of hoped for and predicted, and I said, well, if they can get anything over 500 nautical miles lead before going into the Southern Ocean, that'd be great. Because this record is already so tight that that'd be absolutely almost like the best they could possibly do. And so they've well exceeded there. There is still some space. If we zoom out here, we see that Idec wasn't having a great day on that particular, on that particular day that they're on right now. I guess it's day 9, yeah. So they weren't having a particularly good day 9. So this is the last day that Idec will do relatively short track. But then, as of tomorrow morning, Idec is going to go really, really fast. And essentially, counting on the fact that they probably will build a little bit more lead still today, probably maybe another 80 or maybe 100 miles, that puts them around a 24-hour advantage, right? So they have more or less a full day, which interestingly enough, so we can see here visually, so every ball here is a day in the record of Idec Sport. And so once Idec starts here making longer days and really super long days after that, we're going to start off the record in the Southern Ocean at least with Gitana more or less 24 hours ahead of Idec, which is a great advantage. It still isn't a lot because, as I showed you guys yesterday, the track that Idec went, just look at how straight it is. Not a tack in there, not a jibe in there, just fully straight all the way to New Zealand. Just a few maneuvers there, and then again straight line, and just a few maneuvers there right before Cape Horn, but very, very fast, nigh unbeatable. So they really needed to have a good lead before they went in the Southern Ocean, because there is so little chance for them to actually gain anything on them. Most likely they're only going to really stay the same or lose miles, and maybe if they're extremely lucky, make a few extra, gain a few extra miles, but they're likely to lose them again the next day because the average is just so crazy high. But a day is a day. It's not a lot, but I think it's really as much as they possibly could have hoped for. And that is pretty exciting to now see that, at least, like as we said, around the world in 40 days, well, in this track, from where they started, basically Lorient, to where they are now, and as it was kind of calculated, of course, before going at this record, is that in total, based on the maths of the boat, there is about 2 days of space in there, right? So even mathematically, thinking about kind of the optimal track in a realistic way, the best that they're going to do, really, mathematically, if they would absolutely smash the Jules Verne record, is if they arrive 2 days ahead of this record. That would be amazing, right? If all the conditions are completely super favorable, they might be able to do 3.5, but that would be extremely stretching it. And I mean extremely stretching it. They have to be super, super mega lucky in order to do that. So being at a 1 day advantage now, so that would be if they go at the same speed as Idec from now on, the rest of the race, they would arrive on 39 days, right? So they go around the world in 39 days, shaving a full day off the record, which is amazing in itself. But that's already about half the margin that is, possible in this entirety. Because on this whole race from Lorient to here, there was about a day of space still to be made, counting on the fact that the Doldrums are always going to hold you back a little bit. There's always going to be some tacking and jibing, around Africa and here, also around the Helena system. There's always going to be some maneuvers that'll slow you down. So there is a kind of a theoretical maximum to how fast they can go there. And the same for the upward track. If you look at what Idec did when they came around Cape Horn, like what we're seeing in the Vendée now also, this weather system, low near Southern America, always complicated. There's always going to be some maneuvering and just days with some shorter miles. Then we have the Doldrums again. That's always going to create some problems. So even though Idec did some maneuvers there, 100% for sure that Gitana is going to have to do some maneuvers there, which is going to come out more or less equal. Maybe a little better, maybe a little worse, but that's not where the huge difference is. So from Cape Horn back to Lorient, there's maybe a day or so that they can win if they're lucky, if they navigate really well, but much more than that, not really. So in essence, they've really won the first part. They've really succeeded at the first part in an amazing way. Now comes the really difficult part where it's almost impossible for them to really improve on the situation. Of course, the boat is theoretically a little bit faster and they should be able, if the weather conditions are as perfect as Idec has them, to still gain some miles. But the chance that the weather is so perfect as what Idec had is so infinitesimally small that I don't see it happening. And it's more likely that by the end of the Southern Ocean, they're going to maybe be, more or less in the same spot. They will fall back again a little bit, or they fall back somewhat, but really gaining a lot while they are both in the Southern Ocean. So once Idec starts really rolling, once they get to this point here, by the end of today, from then on, it's going to be very, very difficult. So that's kind of the state of the Jules Verne right now. And I hope you're all as excited as me to see how this will go. We'll have two lightning fast boats. You saw the images, the video just now, and I think we're going to get some really spectacular images from the Southern Ocean. So can't wait for those, and we'll have to see. I'll definitely keep you updated on that anyways. Then the goings on in the Prada Cup, the precursor to the America's Cup, and yeah, well, we talked about the great accident that Team American Magic was in, and so as a consequence, the images of the fairly enormous hole in the hull are now out, so they are dealing with some massive damage. However, they are hopeful, they have some guarantees from the boat building community there that this will be likely fixable in order to be in time for the semis. So we'll have to wait and see if they actually pull it off. But you can imagine, of course, the whole team, all the sponsors, backers, everybody coming together to make this happen. And you know, it's the Americans. So if there is any group that knows how to get themselves out of a tight spot like this, you have to give it to the Americans. They are the Apollo 13 and well, all this story. So they are a little bit in a similar story to that. On the on the other flip side of that coin, what if they fix the boat and really make an amazing comeback? It's not unthinkable, right? So I think there are kind of two very beautiful stories developing there, where we had Ineos with lots of initial jazz in the beginning, now suddenly finding the speed and just putting down an amazing result. And I told you in an earlier show, coming from the fact that that UK and the Royal Yacht Squadron have tried effectively for 160 years to get this cup back to England and having not succeeded, that's an emotional and psychological, like a huge barrier to overcome, right? So imagine how that would have weighed on Ineos UK as they started and then underperformed in those first races. It's like the last thing you want. That's very tough emotionally, psychologically, to get over that. And them having found their stride now, and they're just absolutely kicking butt on the race course there, with having not lost a single race so far in the Prada Cup. So amazing result. On the other hand, we saw that during the Christmas races that the American Magic team was doing very well, basically outperformed, performed on a similar level as the Emirates team New Zealand, did excellent, won most of their races, and seemed to be in excellent shape. Now suddenly kind of underperforming in this, second part, the Prada Cup, and then suddenly getting this massive accident, setting them back. At the same time, really creating a wonderful opportunity, and every tragedy is an opportunity, to turn everything around, get this particular boat fixed, getting the team together in this kind of crazy crisis moment, and then maybe coming out of that with amazing power and energy, and who knows how they will perform in the next race, and maybe they'll do amazing, and then that will be an amazing comeback, right? So I think still that even though it seems that they're now kind of very far behind, points wise, it's not over yet. There is still a chance for them. So let's not count them out yet. This is, after all, the America's Cup, and the America's Cup is usually also full of interesting surprises. So let's wait and see what happens there. Then let's move to the, where do I have it here? Yes, to the Vendée Globe, and the race continues there very hard. We see that the hunters all together now a little bit spread out. Charlie Dallin, because of his a lot more easterly track now, it has to be said. Lewis is like far towards the west. And make no mistake, I mean, if we zoom out a little bit here, that's kind of the thing that I'm a little bit look at the distance here. Like, Lewis was quite close to Charlie Dallin, but now he's moved to the west, to the distance of, it's almost like sort of the space here of continental Spain, from kind of the border to France all the way to kind of their Atlantic to Finisterre there. It's a big distance, right? That's about a day, maybe even more than a day sailing back to the east in order to get to France, which after all, every mile that he sails more towards the west, he's going to eventually have to sail back to the east. So it's very interesting strategy that's going on there, and maybe Thomas is doing something absolutely, maybe Lewis is doing something absolutely brilliant, and will come out completely victorious. But for my mind, it seems like he's just too far off to the west now. But I'm willing to be completely proven wrong, if that should happen. For the rest of the field, we see, of course, all spreading out a little bit more now that they have really good wind, so that's kind of nice to see. And of course also interesting that we see Jean kind of in the middle there, so you all know that I'm going to keep my eye of course on there. And if we look at his more northern position, we do see that he's a little bit more northern than Benjamin Dutreux, I should say now. So we'll see how that further develops, but it looks speed-wise at least that Jean with an average of 14.2 while Benjamin is doing 12.4, that he is definitely finding the speed there. And we see generally the boats kind of around Jean now, especially kind of the three boats next to him, that they are all 1 to 2 knots slower than Jean in these conditions, kind of like what I talked about before. We do see that Yannick so a bit faster, Thomas Riant's more or less the same speed, and Boris also still a little bit faster, as they've gone already through this area where the wind is more against them, so they have slightly more favorable angles. But it's cool to see that in this particular circumstances, Jean is at least faster than the three boats that are more or less upwind of him. So that's kind of interesting to see that he is performing really well there. Then let's take a look. Of course, we see now that Maxime Sorel so entered the Doldrums and going appropriately slow through there, as was to be expected. Armel in hot pursuit, blazingly fast right now, 4 hours of 19.8 and doing 18.6 knots right now. So again, super fast. He's about as fast as the front runners now, but in lesser conditions, I would say. It seems like Isabel also refound her speed again. So yesterday she was going around 10 knots average. She's back up to 12 again now, even 13.8 on a 4 hour. So whatever it was, I think she had problems with the J2.
C'est à peu près mon cauchemar qui se réalise. Je tente une montée au mât pour essayer de réparer mon J2. Voilà. Souhaitez-moi bonne chance. Voilà, au moins permis de faire un petit panorama. Bon bah voilà, je suis en haut du mât, mais c'est un échec. J'arrive pas du tout à m'arrêter pas là. Je pense que je vais finir le Vendée Globe sans J2. J'arrive pas du tout à coller mon patch. Je sais pas trop quoi faire là. Ça fait 1h30 que j'y suis. Et j'en peux plus là. C'est dur. Ça fait chier putain de pas être récompensé. Je sais pas là, je sais pas quoi faire. Je sais pas ce que je fais de mal. Mais j'en ai foutu partout et j'ai du stick partout. Ah putain, ça a mal commencé parce que j'ai fait tomber mon pistolet à 6K par terre et il a fallu que je redescende, que je remonte. Le temps que je revienne, il y avait la moitié du 6K qui avait séché et je pense que c'est ça qui a tout fait foirer. Là j'y arrive pas du tout. Ça fait chier putain, je suis à l'envers de la piste en plus. C'est pas facile de pas être récompensé comme ça. Parce que j'ai le vertige. C'est vraiment de la merde. Voilà, l'ampleur des dégâts, j'ai honte du truc quoi, tellement c'est moche. Ça tient absolument pas, j'ai essayé de faire tenir ce truc. Je sais pas ce que j'ai fait de mal, mais c'est vraiment trop moche. C'est pas grave, hein, je sais. C'est tellement décevant, franchement. Je suis nulle quoi, tout le monde arrive à réparer ses voiles et moi je suis le tocard là, qui fait service. Patauge. la mets 203. J'y suis retournée. Et j'ai l'impression que c'est bon. C'est mieux. Je sais pas si ça va tenir, mais ça ressemble à ce que ça doit ressembler à peu près. Et putain, ça bouge là-haut, c'est relou. Ah, quelle histoire. J'espère que ça va fonctionner parce que là, j'ai tout donné. J'ai plus d'énergie et de toute façon, j'ai plus de sika. Donc, bon, voilà, là, j'ai tout donné. Je suis au bout du rouleau, mais j'ai fait une répa qui ressemble à peu près à quelque chose. On va voir si ça tient dans la durée. Là, je suis arrêtée avec la voile à contre parce que j'ai peur que si je la bouge trop tout de suite, la répa se barre. J'ai envie que ça sèche, mais voilà. La vache, c'est pas un peu fatiguée que je suis là. C'est complètement cramé. Puis il n'y a plus de vent du coup maintenant à force. J'ai pataugé toute la journée dans du vent. J'aurais peut-être dû attendre qu'il y ait vraiment pétale. Mais c'est pas grave, c'est comme ça. J'espère que ça va tenir, mais je suis contente parce que monter au mât c'est pas mon phare et à la fin c'était pas monter au mât mon problème. Hein. Je n'avais rien à faire d'être en haut. Je voulais juste réussir ma réparation. Je sais pas si je vais finir le Vendée avec du sika sur la tronche. C'est fort probable. Je suis repartie sous front là, une jolie petite voile de câblage, une petite voile d'avant un peu plus grande que le J2 et oh la vache, il faut que je fasse quelque chose là. C'est propre. Et maintenant il faut que je range mon bazar, c'est le gros bordel. Le gros bazar, il y en a partout. Ouais, là je crois que je crois que là on peut dire qu'il y a du boulot de rangement.
Which, by the way, some of you asked about that. So what is the thing that keeps happening with the J2 hook? It happened in the beginning of the race a lot. And more or less, when I was talking to Gideon on the Volvo 65, he was talking about this also, is the fact that some of the sails on these amazing race boats do not make use of a halyard for tensioning. So they obviously have something to, you know, hoist the sail up. But in order to kind of minimize the weight of, you know, all the different weight elements inside of the mast, those sails actually hook into the mast directly with a special hook system. So there's no tension on the halyards in there, and I believe that with the Yamacas there even is no halyard, so they're just kind of placed on there, and in order to release them they actually have to get up into the mast to get them off. And so what happens is that because of the shocks that the boats go through, there's some kind of thing with these particular new type of J2 hooks that many of the boats have them, many of the Yamacas have them this year, and they get stuck. So once they're stuck, it's no longer possible for them to kind of take them off of the mast, and they have to go up the mast in order to release the hooks again. And Thomas Riant dealt with it. It's the same thing that Sébastien Deschameux dealt with it at some point. Boris Herrmann had the problem at some point, but seemed to have a bit of a rough climb of it yesterday, but ultimately solved the problem. And so she's well on her way again today, which is nice to know, I guess. Then we have Roman Atanasio, also you know, very nicely came to kind of the patchy area and now sailing nice and fast. 13.7 4-hour average, so doing pretty good. Then we see now that finally both Charal, Anna Bozeris and Alan Rora have all tacked. So the worst of the weather chaos that we've been witnessing, that has been keeping everybody off the tip of South America there, they have that now behind them. It's not completely over in the sense that, you know, as you can see, they still have this area with some lower wind coming over where they're probably going to get stuck for a little while. It's a little bit unfortunate. But it's not the strong storms and completely, you know, very strong winds completely from the wrong direction at least. So you do see that this is a very tenacious system going to last for probably 3 days, so all the way up to Friday morning. You know, for most of them to reach, Charal is a little bit more to the northwest, so he's going to get through it a little bit faster. But both Damien and Alan, sorry, and Arnoud are both going to be probably stuck in that for at least a day or two. Again, you know, a weather system to get stuck in. But the real craziness, shiftiness, strong storms, local lows, that thing is for Charal at least fortunately now over. So he just has this one area with some lower winds, but at least some wind to get through, and then he finally enters the trades and can really, you know, join the rest of the race. And so the question is going to be for him, is it still going to be enough space once he gets through there to maybe still reach Roman Atanasio, or maybe in the craziest scenario, Clarisse Kramer, if she maybe, God forbid, run into some jazz over in the Doldrums there, which might hold her up for quite a bit. Same thing, by the way, I talked about yesterday. So we're looking at the prediction and looking at Armel. Does the prediction still hold for that kind of window that we saw through the Doldrums? More or less, as you can see. Like, he's not really running into a place where he really could get stuck. It is a prediction, and it's about a day and a half ahead for him, so it's relatively trustworthy. But in about 24 to 36 hours, we will know. And as you see, the prediction here puts him very close to Maxime Sorel coming through. So I'm very curious to see what will happen. By the way, for Clarisse, it seems also, as you can see, that she might likely come through the Doldrums relatively unscathed. It seems that it's relatively long now, but as they get closer, it seems to kind of close up a little bit. And then right as Armel passes, and then as Clarisse passes also, it should be relatively inactive for a little bit. For Roman, it looks a little bit different again, but that's further away. So, you know, fortunes are made in the Doldrums, unfortunately, in that sense. Then we have Pip Hare, so finally out of all the problems and the storms and doing well again.
I thought I'd share dusk with you because it's just so different from 2 nights ago when, you know, I was sailing into the eye of that depression. It was dark and aggressive, and just 2 nights and it's this different. I mean, it comes with its own challenges because, you know, I'm sailing into some lighter air, and so instead of just working to keep the boat safe, I'm going to have to work to try and keep the speed on. But it's amazing. The ocean is an amazing place, just the way it changes, and how if you wait, everything's okay.
And sailing around nicely in light winds, but at least she's going in the right direction, 10.3 knots, so she's sailing very happily right now. And behind her, Stéphane Laderijon got a lot closer to Pip, though. Same for Didac Costa. So this threesome behind here might actually develop also into kind of a cool battle, because they of course are going to try to pass Pip. And it's interesting to see that Didac is kind of back, because Pip and Didac were battling earlier in the race, you know, throughout the first part of kind of the South Atlantic and also early in the Southern Ocean. They were really close together, and then she ran away from Didac a big amount. But now they're kind of getting closer to each other again, and with Pip kind of running into this other lighter patch above her, which still may stop her a little bit. Who knows? Didac might still get quite close to her again. We have Kajiro Shirishi doing very nicely in nice winds, finally kind of having a good track to make his way up, and very fast right now, 18.4. First time that I really see him just absolutely going for it and really putting on the speed, or at least him being in, I guess, good enough sea conditions to actually really let his boat go. Because Kajiro has a super fast modern boat. I mean, on paper, he has one of the faster foiling boats out there. So now that he's in a better position, especially if he gets into the trade, we shouldn't you know, underestimate him. And he's close to at least 3. If the rest of the guys here get slowed down a little bit, he might be close to 5. And his boat still has a lot of speed potential. So who knows, you know, looking at how fast he is right now, 18.4 knots, 17.9 over the last 4 hours. you know, he is a great sailor, and he might be kind of an unexpected surprise in the end there, and might just move through here at some point and actually, you know, get himself to maybe 16th or even 15th position if he's, you know, if he sails good and gets a little bit lucky. So we might have a cool surprise there. Then Manuel Cousin, so, you know, came past the Cape and the Falklands, good, no real issues there. Same for Miranda Marin and Clement Girard, both sailing nicely near the Falklands now. And then all the way behind, we have Alexia Barrier and Arie Heusela, where we went on board yesterday. Both sailing nicely, like what Ari said, so they have 2 days of relatively nicer weather, and then as they pass the Cape, it should be a little bit stronger, but not the crazy level, huge storms that we saw there before. So some strong winds, some patches with very strong winds, but not the massive storm systems that you know, Pip and Charal and several of the others went through as they passed the Cape. So relatively good window for them to pass the Cape. And that's it for the prediction for today. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. So small announcement for the Seawolves Childhood event again. So for those of you, if you've booked, you're gonna get a message, because we kind of ran into a technical issue with our payment provider. Short story is that Payball turns out to be one of the worst companies in the world as far as communication and service and accountability, apparently. I've been dealing with these guys for more than 10 years, but really failed me epically in the last 24 hours. So much so that I decided to just immediately cut all ties and switch to another provider that I've been using for a long time, but just completely cut PayPal out of all of the transactions that I'm doing. So if you booked one of the events with Seawolves in Childhood in April, you're gonna get an email on that, just so you know. If you're watching, check your email. Important. For the rest, we are almost there in finalizing kind of the details for the event as far as the timing, and I'm going to try to kind of sort of make a team so that you already know who you're going to be on the boat with potentially, and maybe we'll find a way to make like a WhatsApp group or something like that, so that we can all kind of also enjoy some pre-fun and communication and get to know each other already a little bit, and do some, you know, Seawolf team building already in the run-up to April. There's still plenty of time, but still I think it would be fun to already know each other a little bit as we get on the boat there. So look forward to that also. Then for Wednesday, because Will Harris will be joining us, so look forward to the show Wednesday, because we're going to have a good in-depth interview on this last stage of the race and all the different tactics and interesting tricks still up the sleeve of the sailors, on how to kind of pass these last 3 systems that I talked about also yesterday in the show, that they still have to kind of pass. So the Doldrums that they kind of now passed, then kind of this last part of the Southern Atlantic as they pass Africa, and then going into the North Atlantic, and of course finally the infamous, dangerous, always tricky Bay of Biscay on their way to the finish. So really looking forward to do a cool interview with Will again, and that's it for the show today. If you want to sign up to the Seawolves Childhood event, there are still some spots left for the coastal clinics, so be sure to check that out. Almost filled the 3rd event, so we have 1 more there, so that's another 10 places or so left. So don't wait too long, because they're gonna be gone probably by tomorrow or in the morning the day after. And that's it for the show today. So guys, thank you, and girls, thank you all very much again for watching. Make sure to please give the videos a thumbs up and leave a comment below to help us do good in the almighty YouTube algorithms, and make sure to of course subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to make sure that you get automatically the update when a new video comes online. And I'll see you all with hopefully a delicious cup of coffee tomorrow. Ciao, and have a nice evening.